Welcome back to the Listen Up podcast, where we analyze a new album each week. I'm Jordan, and this week we've got me, Nick.
I wish I was high on pot and noose.
And Jamie.
Judy got hit by the fire truck.
This week we're going to be looking at... This week we're going to be taking a look at the Neon Skyline by Andy Shauf, released in 2020, and it was picked by Nicholas. Would you like to elaborate any, Nick, on why you picked this album?
It wasn't a huge decision or anything. I just thought it'd be a good fall album. I thought it would be interesting to throw it out there and just see if either of you guys liked it. I kind of figured it'd be a situation where it was something I loved and you guys didn't like that much. But
an old Witness, like
yeah.
Benjamin Booker situation.
Yeah,
yes,
possibly exactly like that. But
the old incident.
Yeah, the Witness incident. But yes, I just wanted to listen to it more than I wanted to listen to Sling by Clairo, which was my other pick before this album that I feel like at least Jamie would have liked more. You'd probably like them about the same, Jordan. But but yeah, they're both kind of like soft, subtle indie pop rock type albums. Like soft vocals, like I don't want to say mild instruments because they definitely like fill up the space of the songs. There's some space for subtlety, but like a lot of the songs are really lush and like not really warm, but like I don't know, all the space is filled in a very satisfying way to my little calm brain. So
it is. There are warm tones because most of the instrumentation is done by either acoustic guitar or woodwind instruments, mainly clarinet, which are warm-toned things. So that actually is a pretty accurate description, I would say, from both an emotional and...
Even when I don't know what I'm talking about, I know what I'm talking about.
Let's go. For reference, if you haven't listened to it, listener, Witness... I'm not sure what the pre-re-rating was. I could look at that, but we're going off the new re-ratings. Jordan gave it a 3, I gave it a 6, and Nick gave it a 9.5. So that's what we referenced.
Yikes! That. Hopefully your history doesn't.
It's currently 56th.
I might even keep that. I might even just stay 9.5. I was gonna say I might drop it, but I still love that album.
You kept it the same. The only change with the re-rating was I went from a 5.5 to a 6.
Gotcha. I appreciate that.
Yeah. But yeah, so I know you like this album. We haven't mentioned it in this episode yet, but it was your 9th album of all time. Top 10 overall.
Yeah. Actually. I think it would stay in the list. It might not even go any higher. It might just be like 10. I might bring another album into the list instead of my number 10 was Currents by Tame Impala.
Right.
I just kind of want to knock that off to like feel better about myself, to feel less stereotypical. So I'm thinking like I might want to put some Jack Johnson on there or like some Haim or something.
But do you lose your originality as soon as you start acting like
I feel like Jack Johnson or Haim still fits in with Nick's. I feel like that's still like artists I would expect to be in there for Nick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because like really, really authentically, the top 5 are probably strictly ordered. The top 4 or 5, and then the rest are just like great albums that I love. You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm interested because we already are almost definitely going to be doing that again, like this coming year. I'm interested to see how that changes because I feel like for me, like like the top 5 are probably pretty set, but below that, there's a lot of room for something to get knocked off from the starting lineup.
I can agree with that.
Like I didn't put 22 a Million in my top list, and
oh really? I thought it was like 7 or 8.
No, I didn't put it in. No, 8 was MBDTF because me and Jordan both selected that for our 8th overall. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, so there was a lot of emotion right? This was a rival matchup. You know, this was a conference game for Nick.
Yes.
Going into it. I will say, this album did grow on me. The first listen was a rough one. It was a rough listen. Uh-huh. The first listen was one of those situations where, like, I try to go in not making snap judgments, but like the first listen, I got 2 songs in, and I was like, this is not going to be a good week for me. This is not going to go well. And I will say, it did grow on me. I still don't love it. I think it is. We'll get into more detail. It is interesting in the manner that it is written and the structure of the album, but I wouldn't say that I never got to a point where like I enjoyed the instrumentation and his vocals in it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's the kind of style where it's either you're gonna fuck with it or you're not going to, and that's. For me, it happens to just fall in the latter of those two.
I think it's interesting that I really love pretty much all of his music, but albums like Weezer's newest album, OK Human, that's kind of like a soft rock album.
Is that like a play off of OK Computer?
I think so. And it got really good reviews, but I really didn't like it. And the instrumentation,
I didn't even listen to it.
Yeah, the instrumentation is kind of similar to this album, but I feel like you could almost put this in the same category as Bahamas in the sense that it's like slightly unconventional.
Yeah,
like indie pop rock.
I could see it, and maybe there's something to that because Bahamas are another. Well, it's Afy, but. Kind of group because it doesn't go by him, but that's another where I just don't feel like I've ever liked Bahamas as much as I should like Bahamas.
Yeah,
like I enjoy listening to Bahamas as Afy, and I enjoyed when we did Earth Tones back then. I probably enjoyed that album more now, but I just at no point has there been a moment where I'm like, I get why Nick loves Bahamas. I don't know. It's just one of those like I enjoy listening to it. I would say I even I queue up Bahamas and stuff like that. But definitely much more of a few songs that I really enjoy and queue up versus I'm gonna sit and listen to this album. Kind of thing.
Well, we'll have to do Bahamas as Afy someday and see what your official rating is. Yeah, my number one all time.
Your number one of all time.
That could be. I could get a little tipsy on that pod, and you could really hear me get pissed if somebody said something that I didn't agree with.
Okay.
We're doing Bahamas as Afy whenever I get the Arby's curly fry vodka. Okay,
bro, I have got to set aside some paycheck money, bro. I gotta get that.
That's
curly
actually
fry
insane,
shit.
Dude.
I think I'm stupid because. I really want to buy that.
I want to buy it authentically.
Just because.
I want to buy it.
Just because.
It's just
why
funny.
the fuck not? Right? Exactly. If it tastes like shit, it's not going to go bad.
I will literally keep that bottle and pass it down to my children.
Yeah, my fucking grandkids are getting that shit. They're getting that bottle full of water. They're getting that bottle.
Yeah, the Arby's curly fry. They're not collabing with a brand, right? Isn't it just like Arby's
It's
vodka?
a distiller, but
Okay.
yeah. They did it. It's like some distiller starts with a T. Honestly, I feel bad for the distiller. I mean, they're about to make a fuck ton of money from Arby's for this, but like I don't know their name. Because it's the kind of thing where it's like, I don't know vodka distilleries.
No.
But I so...
It just looks
I
so
feel
dumb.
This is collab of the year.
But I want to buy that.
No, the Bear Brick Lyrical Lemonade collab is such a good collab.
Vodka is my spirit of choice for making drinks and stuff. Can you imagine it? Like, if it tastes
Fry vodka.
slightly like curly fry, that's enough for me. Putting that shit in a Moscow Mule.
Yeah, no.
What the fuck, right? I gotta do it. I don't know
about that. You just gotta drink it straight. You gotta get the full curly fry effect.
Dude. Oh, if I am able, I am setting a fucking timer for this. If I am able to procure a bottle of curly fry vodka, the first thing I'm doing is drinking it straight.
I feel like you might be
100%.
able to, but I think North Carolina's like interstate liquor laws are stricter than some other places.
Then now I really have to do it. I got to do it for the boys.
Yeah.
True.
It's bigger than just you.
It's
have an
bigger than me.
obligation
This
to
is
the-
bigger than me.
to the community of us podcasters. What do you call a group of white men?
Oh, if we're able to get this is some supplemental content. Listener will be coming out. We are doing a taste test of this shit. I don't know how. I don't know how long it's going to take for all of us to be in the same place again. But with this vodka, it is fucking happening.
I'd be down.
I mean, we could, if Nick buys it and you buy it, I could have like one shot.
Yeah.
7 days, 14 hours, 15 minutes, 11 seconds.
Wait, there's a countdown?
Yeah, if you go to arbysvodka.com, bro, I'm gonna be sitting at work next
Go to
Thursday.
www.arbysvodka.com.
Just refreshing the webpage on my fucking work laptop, trying to buy Arby's Fun. If I get it, I'm gonna cheer and stand up in my cubicle, and everyone's gonna be like, "What the? What are you cheering for?" And I'm like,
nothing.
I just bought curly fry flavor.
My wife is pregnant.
No, that would not be it.
That
At
wouldn't
this
be
point,
that
that's
wouldn't
not
be a cheering situation.
No, that is a...
My wife is pregnant, dude. Oh.
My wife. I was just saying that as an excuse. I knew you wouldn't celebrate that, Jamie. It was just a lie, you could say.
It's crazy that people celebrate that at 20. I mean, it's okay. It's not crazy. I don't want to alienate.
It's
I
just
was like,
different.
dude, I feel like
If for you, in your worldview and your life situation, if that's what you want, good for you. Go for it. No judgment here. But like for me,
It's crazy for you.
for my situation and my worldview, ours,
Yes.
not just mine. It's not just me. Yes, that would be crazy
yes.
at this point in time.
But-
Okay, I think that's a good COI.
Yeah. But before we completely dive into the individual songs, I do want to note that I wasn't able to completely find whether it pertains to this album, but I know for almost all of his albums in the past, Andy recorded all of the instruments himself, like a Tame Impala situation.
Oh,
And,
a one-man band.
Yeah. So he's the more indie Tame Impala.
Try hard.
Yeah. He grew up in a super small town in Saskatchewan, Canada.
He sounds like a Saskatoon.
The town's name is Regina. But
Regina.
And that's how he says it. He doesn't say
Dog,
Regina.
you sure it ain't Regina?
No,
Okay.
he says Regina.
Oh.
That's a like middle school level joke.
Yeah.
If that's legit. That's their town's name is the shit we would say as a joke in.
It's like the thing
Like
you
eighth
call
grade.
like the skin between your thumb and your pointer finger.
No, that's the pugina.
Oh. I actually didn't know that either.
I don't think that's real.
You didn't hear that shit?
I know this
that
is
was-
the vagina.
No, that's the weenus.
Oh, it is.
The skin on the elbow is what Jordan's referring to. Did you go to middle school, dog? That was before.
Yes.
Forbush Middle School was rampant with
Haynes
vagina and
was
weenus
censored.
jokes.
No. Weenus I definitely had. I just thought it was called a vagina. I just couldn't remember. I knew it was like a private part, but I could not. A W private part, but I could not remember which one it
Privates.
was.
Dog, did you just say private part?
What should I say?
Genital.
Genital.
I don't know, this
Show
this
me
goes
your
back to my
genitals.
argument from
Genitals.
forever ago where I'm anti any. There's no good word for like. I hate saying this. Cuss words. There's no good word for it. Cursing you're vanilla. Cussing you're stupid.
I feel like cuss words are what?
Cursing?
I don't know. This is we talked about this forever ago. Where like me personally, it just hurts me to say that. Private parts for me is another one where I'm like that feels very childish, but like genitals is too much. So I don't know what the solution is. I just know that internally it causes strife within.
What do you call your hoo ha?
My bussy.
What? No, I said what do you call your blue blah? Huh? Tell me.
You said hoo ha. That would be a bussy if I were to possess
No,
one.
your what's it called?
Are you talking about the thing that
Your
girls
penis,
have?
dude. No, what do you call your penis, dude?
Context dependent.
Exactly. See, that one's a hard one too.
Well,
I'm gonna say hoo-ha, and you guys think I'm talking about a girl's private part and your butthole, dude. How?
I don't know. I've never heard hoo-ha applied to penis.
to like the penis. Never heard it referred to that. The hoo-ha 100% of the time is vagina.
I really hope that that you tag Andy Shauf when you post this, and he listens to this, and before we ever talk about any of his songs, he hears us discussing.
Fuck! It's 20 minutes. Yeah, we need to get back on track.
I mean, because it is.
Jamie's got one more thing to say.
The most interaction we ever get is from like the like indier artists. That's like we typically see more. They at least they like the tweet. I don't know if they listen to the show from the tweet, but they typically will like it. And sometimes if they listen to it, not because of the rating, because you know if you make music, you have to deal with whatever ratings. It's for situations like this where I'm like, ooh, you tuned in to hear us review your music, and you heard us talk about the intricacies of how to refer to
of genital vocabulary.
To genitals vocabulary, yeah. Look,
Anyways.
This is Nick's fault. I was ready to dive into it, and he said,
"No, sorry. I'm trying to I'm trying to do
like
a good,
I said
spacing.
before we get into it to talk about how he plays all the instruments.
Yeah,
not to talk about
how do we get there? I don't even know. But yeah, so my last general thought is that this man is down horrendous for Judy.
Oh yeah.
Listen, okay, it's not him, it's the character, all right? It's
the character
it's the
is down
narrator.
bad for someone with a not hot name.
Judy's a fine
Judy
name.
could be hot, bro.
Judy's like a fine classic.
That was a joke.
Name.
That was a joke.
Wow,
Too far, bro.
Jamie hates women.
I can't wait to
Ooh.
us one day blow up and our one-liner joke get taken out of context. You know, I gotta figure out
all the Judys be like,
listen up, podcast.
Have you ever met a Judy? I don't know a Judy.
Maybe.
I had a great aunt named Judy.
Well, okay. Do you know someone like our age named Judy though?
No.
It's like a Barbara. It's gone the way of.
Judith?
I do know a Barbara our age.
I have an Aunt Barbara, but I don't know a Barbara our age.
I was gonna say, instead of putting "Where are you, Judy" in a song, he could have just said, "Hey TikTok, I'm really trying to find this girl named Judy right now. Please help."
It's crazy how many of those work.
I know. I saw one the other day where this guy found as a girl. I was like, "What the?"
That's crazy. But yeah, that's the last of my overall thoughts. Until we get into the ratings, so we can get into more specifics if you guys are ready for that.
All right.
I feel like we've wet our whistles enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So Neon Skyline. I thought an ice cold bar from that shit. Where I think it's the last line of the song, but oh, I'm just fine. I'm wasting time. Sometimes there's no better feeling than that.
Oh, I'm just fine. I'm wasting time. Sometimes there's no better feeling than that.
Honestly, that's kind of true. Sometimes you just gotta dick around and like whatever.
Yes,
like,
sir.
do you know how many just like bullshit evenings of like playing Warzone have kept me sane, especially during like the throes of the pandemic and online school and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like I am a big fan, or not fan. I'm a big proponent and advocate of like you gotta just take time to not do anything important.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you play like if you're in esports and you make money like that, that's important. But like if you don't do that, you just got to take time to just do some bullshit.
Yeah,
I agree.
So I thought that was a pretty good line. His in the case of the narrator with the opening song of the album, it's in the sense of just like fucking off at a bar or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would say in a general sense, you got to make time to just not do anything and also not feel bad about not doing anything.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know if we mentioned yet, but this whole album is like an overarching narrative of one night.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like an overall narrative of like 6 hours in the narrator's life, probably.
yeah. It's basically
based on the events that occur.
Yeah, it's basically like
that.
a TV show episode in like an album. You can think of it like that, and you can also almost think of it like,
because it's only 34 minutes, right?
Yeah,
it's like a 45-minute episode minus the ads.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and there's little like flashback elements in it, or like little like outside stories that don't directly take place in the bar, but they all take place in that night. Like they're all told in that one night. And yeah, that's the first time Andy had ever done that. Had ever like wrapped up a concise story with one album. On his last album was kind of his first concept album. And it was all about like stories that happen at parties, but I don't think they were all supposed to happen during the same night. Like the album was just called The Party, and it's like there's different songs about like situations at parties, like or like situations in the quiet corners of parties where like a guy
they don't know that I'm.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
They don't know that I'm actually about to have an album dedicated to this one night. Who's that weird guy in the corner?
I don't know, but he's got a legal pad writing down shit. I don't know what he's. He keeps asking everyone what their names are. I don't know what he's got. Shit drops.
But yeah, basically, it is like kind of a situation like that. Like it's him describing situations that he's seen and situations he's been in. I listened to 2 podcasts where he was the guest this week, and like on one of them he talked about The Party, and on one of them he talked about Neon Skyline. And on The Party he was talking about how that wasn't really autobiographical, how it was just things he had seen, but as he was writing those characters and those stories, and as he writes basically any story, he just finds like pieces of himself within them that like he thinks he's talking about something else, but characteristics of his actual self and personality come out in those stories. And which is a common thing that you hear like different artists talk about. I will say,
like I want to throw out the disclaimer. Any critique of the album I have, it has nothing to do with songwriting. I think that the dude is a great songwriter.
Yeah,
this
and
album,
that's my biggest draw to it.
Right. Oh, writing perspective, it's great, but like that's not what's reflected in my eventual rating and overall review is I just couldn't get over a hump with him. But like the songwriting is great. I mean, it's up there with, you know, some of the best songwriting in this genre. I think it's done really, really well. Yeah,
and one of his biggest heroes that he talked about in both podcasts, I think, is Randy Newman, who's like a very renowned songwriter in his own right, outside of Toy Story. Out there. Outside of what?
Isn't that Randy Newman? It's a jungle out there. Do 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 do.
Do 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 do.
I just know he's You Got a Friend in Me. He's the Monsters Inc. theme.
You got a friend in me.
Yep, that's Randy Newman. But he's also Short People. Fantastic song. What are other songs by him that I know? I don't know. I went through a phase where I was listening to like assload of his music. But
of Randy Newman?
Yeah, that was like probably That's like fun. A month or two ago. I listened to his first like 5 albums. But yeah, he's hilarious. He's like Ben Folds, just like 30 years earlier.
Yeah, Randy Newman. I've heard a lot. Like, I am not as familiar with like just his music, but just the fact that he's like a funny fucking dude.
Yeah. But the album that Short People's on, that's my favorite album by him. I can't remember. I think it's called Little Criminals. Anyways, Little Criminal, Short People. Neon Skyline
It says it in the first one. It says, "Hey, you remember when we're gonna say the title of the show in the show? Here it is."
Pretty much. The Skyline is a bar in Toronto that he went to a lot, and
Interesting.
He was talking.
Okay, I wasn't, but the album seems like it's written more from a small town perspective than Toronto.
Yeah, I guess you could say like he references small town life a bit, but he talks about like Judy wanting to.
But he talks about Judy being sick of the city and shit like that. So that made me, listening to this album and reading the lyrics of it, I pictured a much more like small town bar where the same 50 people a night go to this bar. So the bartender Rose in the narration of the album,
Sounds like
she knows like the regulars because it's not hard.
Yeah.
And I think
like,
I think
the
that
vibe I got
think
from
that actually is the gist, because he talks about having like drinking buddies and stuff at the bar, like in in the podcast, like when he's talking about his real life. But like the character Claire in the album, who tells the story about her son who gave her the picture and she kind of blew him off, and she says like, "How hard is it to give a shit?" That's one of my favorite lines on the album. How hard is it to give a shit?
I don't like the delivery, but the message behind it is very good. It's the idea of repeating the actions you see growing up from your parental figure that then you subconsciously pass down, and then afterwards feel like guilt about it.
Anyways, today my son came home from school and he had drawn a picture. But I was so tired from work, I told him I would have a look in a little while. I should have hung it on the fridge for him. I mean, how hard is it to give a shit, to give a shit, to give a shit?
I think a funny good.
I was gonna say that interaction in particular felt very like just small town shooting the shit to me. With someone you barely know, but only in a small town do I feel like you barely know them, but you're still, they give me an acquaintance or whatever, but then like you don't have a problem with him joining the night with you.
Yeah.
I feel like that's more of a small town vibe than a bigger city.
Yeah. I feel like that song is one of the most like haunting on the album, or like ominously dreamlike, and that's a bigger characteristic of the Party, of some of his older work, definitely on his album The Bearer of Bad News. Like he has an 8.5 minute song called Wendell Walker that's about him like having an affair with Wendell Walker's wife, and like it's talking about how the cold makes Wendell go crazy, and like in the end, like spoiler alert, in the end of the 8.5 minute song, Wendell Walker accidentally kills his wife, and then it's a whole thing. Like also at the end of that album, there's 2 songs where the first song is about 4 people trying to rob a guy, and the guy that they try and rob kills one of them, and then the last song is about the guy who killed them thinking that he was shooting a fox, like hiding behind something, not realizing that he was killing a person. And it's like it's very
little Dick Cheney situation.
A little bit.
Man tripping off acid or something?
It was dark. It was at night, okay? He just heard something rustle, like getting into his shit. He lives on a farm. He's like, get the hell out of here. And he meant to shoot. He didn't even really mean to shoot it. He meant to shoot near it. And then he killed the person.
Jeez.
But the writing is like emotionally deep in like everything that he does. And the storylines aren't really like crazy or hard to understand. It's not like a Christopher Nolan movie. That's not why the writing is good, because the plot is confusing. It's like there's
Chrissy Nolan.
Yeah, Chrissy Nolan. It's because there's so much emotional depth to it. Is why I love it.
But Christopher Nolan's best movie is his least confusing plot.
The Prestige?
Interstellar.
You said his best movie, though.
That's my favorite movie of all time.
Prestige is my favorite movie of all time.
I think The Prestige is less confusing than Interstellar. Barely. Because they're both relatively straightforward. Like if you watch Interstellar and you hear all the dialogue, it makes sense. And like the end is like a bit of fantasy, but like it's that's what it is. It's fantasy. It doesn't need to be explained.
Or is it just science we haven't come to understand yet?
That's like the same thing. is
honestly
unexplainable space being fantasy or science we don't understand.
The black hole. He consulted astrophysicists, and they said, "Yo, if it was a black hole, this is what it would look like." They made that, and then the scientists compiled the black hole photos, and that's what it looked like.
Have you ever seen The Prestige?
That's
Jamie?
crazy. No, I still gotta watch it.
I was gonna say, I was like, he hasn't even seen it yet.
We can't say much about it, Jordan. It's
well,
really
right.
phenomenal.
I was like, wait, he's acting like he's not even saying he likes it. I was like, wait, has he even seen it?
No,
yet?
that's why I'm out of that fight. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
But it'll be very hard to beat Interstellar because I'm a slut for space.
I was gonna say,
so
I don't think you'll like it as much, but I think you'll still love it. It's
David Bowie.
Amazing movie.
David Bowie is in The Prestige. Okay,
David Bowie plays Nikola Tesla.
Yes.
Space easily beats David Bowie for me.
David Bowie, Nikola Tesla doing science?
I mean, I'm interested. I didn't know
Okay, that's what I thought. Hold on, buddy.
It's just Interstellar has literally been my favorite movie since I saw it. I saw it 4 times in theaters, and I don't know. I watch it at least once a year after that.
Prestige is worth a watch at least, though.
We need to bring you back down to earth and let you see a Paul Thomas Anderson film. We need to let you watch the 3-hour emotional epic Magnolia. Some people that Jordan might know might say that Shortcuts by Robert Altman is better than Magnolia. Okay, but
I'm gonna guess.
I wouldn't say that. All right.
Would say that?
But no one will be named.
She likes the posts. I don't know if she listens to the show. She likes the posts.
True.
That's all I know. I just see who likes.
But moving on from Skyline, Neon Skyline.
Fuck, we've really got on a tangent.
We don't have to talk about every song either.
No, I don't have notes for every song.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. I figured Nick would be note heavy. Nick would be the note leader.
Yeah, I took a lot of notes, and I can kind of try and guide us if you want me to. But
yeah, guide us.
My next note is for Clove Cigarettes, so I don't know.
Oh, really? You didn't have any for Where Are You, Judy? That's where you don't even know who Judy is until Where Are You, Judy?
Okay, it sets up Judy, but that's my least favorite song on the album.
Really?
So I just don't like. I don't like the delivery of it. Where are you, Judy?
Bro, it's so catchy. It's just like something you'd hear in like a barbershop.
Like
cartoon.
I said, this is some shit that I feel like I should have fucked with, and I just at no point in my like 10 listens did it connect with me.
Interesting. I even like the little part where it's like when you first hear about Judy, and his friend Charlie says like, "Did you know Judy's back in town?" And like when he says that, the instrumentation like just adds like a little more drums in, and it just picks up a little bit.
But now Charlie's in my left ear, blowing my mind again, as he's saying, "Did you know Judy's back in town?" I guess I didn't hear about that. How long has she been here? I haven't seen her around. I only miss her when the skies are above. Oh, where are you, Judy? Where are you, Judy?
Like there's just
Yeah,
emphasis.
I don't know. It did not hit for me.
This whole album seems something that they just pay at like a bar or something, you know?
It kind of. I mean, and that's kind
like
of
it's not like study music, but it's like
it's
like
funny you saying that.
chill
It nails
a little bit.
It nails the fact that it narrates an evening of friends at dive bars.
Yes, exactly. I was about to say like a dive bar, which I think the music is paired good with what the subject matter is. Nick, I will say that as a plus. Mm-hmm. Something it does well. It's not like
it does.
And then they killed all their parents and went home. Use their skin as blankets and wasn't cold.
Like something like that, you know. It's very
bars, dog.
Bars.
But yeah. I don't know. It definitely like the music. I will agree with you. The music went with it, but for me, since I didn't like the music, that's a problem instead of a plus.
No, I get that.
Like I said, any criticism, any critique I have of this is not to do with the songwriting and the structure. It's just the fact that for me personally, it was not copacetic with like what I wanted to listen to this week.
I got you.
Which is, and maybe in a re-rating in the future, I would give this album, I would give it a higher rating because of that. From an objective point of view, I should like this album a lot more than I do.
This is a little Haim Women in Music Part 3 situation.
Potentially.
I do like that album though.
I got you.
I should have. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just where are you, Judy? Like, yes, it sets up the X that the narrator.
Yeah, it sets up that she
for.
broke up with him, that he was on the receiving end, that he still cares about her. He says like, "I only miss her when the skies are above."
Right, as in, you know,
like
I only think about it in the days that end in Y, shit like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as you see later on in the album, the narrator didn't see it coming, but they really should have, because there are a lot of red flags. Some pretty big ones.
Uh-huh.
Some pretty big red flags.
Some shit does go down.
But yeah, so like I get from a narrative standpoint, it's an important song, but I didn't enjoy listening to it.
I got you. We're good on there. I'm done with that.
I mean, even Clove Cigarette, I would say that 100% of my notes for this album do not have to do with the musicality of the album.
Understandable.
They only have
you did say you
like
didn't
Clove
like
Cigarette. Clove Cigarette, the song starts off with the bartender smoking a clove cigarette. Very hipster thing to do outside.
I didn't know what those were.
I don't either. Can you tell me?
Do they not have nicotine in them? Like
I'm trying to. I only know them as like the hipster thing, like hand rolled clove cigarettes, and they have a distinctive smell.
Yeah, I heard Andy talk about them on a podcast, and he was saying like it made it sound like people smoke them whenever they're trying to stop smoking normal cigarettes. But
okay.
he said they smell amazing like cinnamon, but they're terrible for you. Like they're even worse for you than regular cigarettes.
Wait,
yeah, I know that's the thing. With
why would you do that if you're trying to stop them?
I don't know. I think it's just to try and break the nicotine addiction.
Well, but this says that clove cigarettes have been shown to deliver more nicotine, carbon monoxide, and tar than regular cigarettes.
All right, I'm capping. Then I might have just been zoning out.
Wait, how does this make sense? Oh, this is backwards. Clove cigarettes typically contain between 60 to 70% tobacco and 30 to 40% shredded cloves.
Okay, so Nick's not wrong.
They're probably as harmful and addictive as regular cigarettes.
Okay, well maybe he's wrong.
So I don't know the points in them. I just know it's like what hipsters and people in the 60s, like Bob Dylan and shit like that, would talk about hand-rolled clove cigarettes.
Gotcha.
Okay. I don't know. I am a non-smoker, so I don't have any knowledge on the matter, really. I just saw a text from 35 minutes ago from Vic that says, "What's your thoughts on communism?" So I got to figure that one out whenever I get this. But yeah, so but
classic life
all the way back at the top, my note on this song is that I think it's interesting to talk about the olfactory senses and their connection to the memory in the brain, because that's something that, like, I have a dog shit memory, but I will smell a smell that will immediately take me to like fucking 7 years in the past in a very specific situation.
Yeah.
Shit like that, where I think that it is crazy, the connection there between the nose and even taste. So I say olfactory. You know, you got both of the two nasal passage scent receptors. Like, I don't know why we evolved to have that, but it blows my mind anytime it happens. Where, like, I'll have something and I'll be like, oh my God, this takes me back to this day 8 years ago. This is what was happening. That shit blows my mind every time. So that's a kind of the first verse touches on Rose is smoking a clove cigarette, the bartender. She's outside taking a smoke break. And it takes me back to your summer dress and that green plastic table with those green plastic chairs, and you touch my summer skin and you toss your golden hair.
Rose is smoking a clove cigarette, and it takes me back to your summer dress and that green plastic table with those green plastic chairs, and you touch my summer skin and you toss your golden hair.
He's down bad for Judy. We've established that. But I don't know. I enjoyed the not, I guess it's an implicit relationship that he's mentioning between the smell and then memory. Yeah. I always enjoy that. Thought it was cool.
Yeah. I feel like it's ironic or almost just not fitting that the chorus for the song is you take some steps forward and some steps back, but it just doesn't matter because I'm on track.
You take some steps forward and some steps backward. It just doesn't matter because I'm on track.
Because it doesn't sound like he's on track.
This dog is not on track. He is down.
It sounds like he's
for someone who liked him so little they had an affair. All right, that he's down bad.
Oof.
For.
Yeah, that's what, like,
not on
2
track.
songs down the road. The next song's 13 Hours, and that talks about how like a
little Long December vibes a little bit to me. I don't know. I got that, and then I realized when looking at the lyrics that, like, I probably shouldn't have thought that.
Wait, like the Counting Crows song?
Yeah, because it's about, like, the friend getting hit by a car and him going to the hospital constantly and shit like that.
Oh, okay. But
like, that's what I latched into in 13 hours. But the last lines are fucking that last it's not a verse because it's all one continuous stream. There's no chorus. But yeah, that last verse is like, oh.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's a very good example of, like, how close intimacy with someone can breed like that heightened vulnerability and closeness with someone. Mm-hmm. You may say something to them that you wouldn't say to, like, a stranger or, like, even a normal friend, like something that would hurt them.
What comes with intimacy is honesty, and sometimes honesty is
it's just like they're both incredibly stressed, and he had been, like, listening to her and, like, trying to help her even though he caused this awful situation, and, like, in the moment that he was fed up, he says something awful to her while she's, like, has two, like, a broken hand,
wrist, bruised ribs, and a hospital gown.
Yeah.
Because she got hit by a drunk driver. Okay, so the story is that his ex Judy, this is a reminiscing of, they took a flight home from 13 Hours. He's in Canada, let's say England. I don't know where they flew from, but it was like a flight home.
Okay.
And he was saying if we'd taken the train, this wouldn't have happened, because what happened is they took a cab from the airport to the apartment. They were excited about being done. He left a cab. He's broke as shit. She asked how much he left as a tip. He said it. She said, that's bad. I gotta go walk back over to the cab and give him something. Look, all I'm saying is if they used Uber, It's all in the app. but so we don't know when this was.
This is a pro Uber podcast.
So she walks back over to the cab. A drunk driver comes flying around the corner and then hits her while she's leaning over, giving the cab driver an extra tip. And so, yeah, that's what the song's leading up to. And then she says, while they're in the hospital, he's like checking on her because she got hit by a fucking car. She says, if you weren't such a cheap bastard, I'd be at home. And this guy, so you assume that they take a 13-hour flight, airport, processing, maybe an hour, 14 hours, take a cab, who knows how long. So I mean, we've all been there, like traveling with family or a partner, whatever. Like, you get stressed at a certain point because humans aren't meant to do that. So it's like your brain, you get short-tempered. So she says, if you weren't such a cheap bastard, I'd be at home. While they're in the hospital, who knows how long. And he says, I'm not made of money. You should have just fucking left it.
If you weren't such a cheap bastard, I'd be at home. Oh, I'm not made of money. You should have left it alone. As soon as I say it, she looks at me so surprised. It's your fault that I never got home.
And then, of course, that's not what you should say to your partner who has just been hit by a car. And the blame there isn't even at... It's one of those things where the blame of the situation is at an external party, but when you're in the heat of the moment, you know, temper, frustration, everything, it's all flying.
It's
some shit's
the blame
gonna get said that you regret.
Yeah, the blame.
Right.
Yeah, like you said, the blame is on an external situation, but really, in that situation, it's on you.
It gets thrown on the parties because in that situation, you're the people discussing what happened, yes. So you can't say the bird's eye view would be to say, oh, well, this happened because what was the probability that these things occurred versus a drunk driver coming around the corner, not seeing the person and hitting them. The odds are that wouldn't happen. However, it did happen. So the blame should be clearly on the third party. However, at the end of a stressful situation, when you're especially, I feel like the more intimate of a relationship, the more comfortable, as fucked as it is, the more comfortable you are with kind of saying like, oh, this is your fault, because of just whatever innate human. Whenever we're against a wall, we typically, odds are, you blame whatever is closest to you as a scapegoat, and so that's kind of what happens here. So I think that for me, you mentioned in living room that the how hard is it to give a shit lines for you. Are the most impactful. For me, the last 4 lines of this song are the most impactful.
Okay.
Because of that. Yeah. Where, it's she's lashing out. If you weren't such a cheap bastard, I wouldn't have got hit by a car. And instead of being, I guess, the bigger person, more empathetic, whatever, and saying like, you're right, it's my bad, the narrator goes, fuck you, you know I'm broke. You should have just fucking left it. Like, I gave what I could. And then, as soon as I say it, she looks at me so surprised. And then she's, of course it's your fault I never got home because I'm in a hospital because I got hit by a fucking car. So those lines for me are the most, when the narrative is about the narrator being hung up on an ex, but like clearly the ex saw it coming for way longer than the narrator. Like those 4 lines for me are really the most impactly on the album. I thought. I said, the songwriting's good.
There's a sick guitar part at the end of that song, right after she says.
Didn't even notice it.
you probably heard that and you went, oh wow, and you just skipped the rest of it.
If this album's lyrics were written as an 11-paragraph short story, bars.
Bars.
But like I would analyze this shit in a senior English class, right? Happily.
Yeah.
But with the music, which is weird for me to say, that's where it lost me. I don't know, man. I don't know.
You could have done that this week. You could have just sat down and not listened to the music after you realized you hated it, you know? Just listen to it once.
Where do you think, Nick, where do you think my notes came from? Right? Most of these were written by me reading through Genius during the first, 3 songs of the album. On my, 10th listen.
Oh, what?
Like I said, songwriting, fucking golden.
Yeah.
Is he
a better storyteller than Lil Wayne though?
Sure. I don't know.
Yes.
What?
I don't know enough of
I got
Wayne
a story to tell.
you
know that I cherished it. Too many.
Mona Lisa? You telling me that is top 10 one of the best storytelling songs? Top 3, bro.
Mona Lisa. I don't know. I've never heard it. I don't know.
We listen.
We didn't listen to Mona Lisa.
Jordan died.
That wasn't on the leak. That's the only Wayne album I've listened to fully.
We probably listened to it in the car one time.
We listened to it on the way to
Dog, you
Colorado.
know I didn't listen to that.
We were talking about it. You talked about it.
No. I probably... Okay, I'm saying I listened to it. I didn't imprint.
Dude, it was literally such a good song, though.
I don't know. I probably fucked with it.
It has Kendrick Lamar in it.
It has Kendrick Lamar in it. Maybe I listened to it.
But you know, this thing, that's just that. Matter of fact, bitch, give me your phone. Remember that was the one where he did the grandma voice in it, dude.
Oh, shit. Okay, I remember the grandma voice.
Thank you, dude.
Anything else
Thank
about
you,
it.
bro. Oh. Matter of fact, bitch, give me your phone. You fucking with Wayne? Bitch, give me your phone. Hello?
I'm not fucking with Wayne.
She on your fucking ringtone? Is that the shit that you do? Touching yourself to the... Anyways, I'm not going to sing the rest of the song, but you get the gist.
That was beautiful.
So,
I hope we get a copyright strike off that.
Right? I go in the YouTube to dispute the claim for it, and it says Mona Lisa by Lil Wayne. I'm like, yo, that's crazy.
Wait.
I didn't even cut that one in this week. Yeah, so I thought that Things I Do, my note for it, brutal accounting of walking in on an affair. The best account of walking in on an affair is Kate McKinnon by Coulter Wall. But
I thought you meant the best account of having an affair if it
not
was
having an affair. Like no. Okay, so I see what you mean, but that's not what I meant.
Like the SNL actress?
Yes.
Like, so that's what Jordan's read. Jordan said he thought
but this is a Coulter Wall song
person to
Kate
have
McKinnon,
an affair
right?
with. It's called Kate McCannon.
Okay.
Bro, Nick, have you not listened to Kate McCannon?
No, I'm not a huge Coulter Wall head.
Oh,
dog, this was my introduction to him. Maybe that's why I like him.
I'm just a Fraulein guy.
That song, okay, that's probably his second best song. Maybe his third best. Devil Wears a Suit and Tie is really good too. But dude,
that's only
you gotta listen.
Devil Wears my suit and tie. I'm gonna keep it on.
After this podcast, after this episode, you need to listen to Kate McCannon and really hear what's being said.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
Dog, that's bars. No, like, that's one of those songs where it reaches a point. It's like a 2.5 minute song, and it has a climax that's better than like half the movies I've ever seen.
Bro, I got a climax that's better than half the movies I've ever seen, bro, alright?
Now we're back on the general discussion.
It's okay, no, back to...
But yeah, that's all I had for Things I Do. That shit hurted, but that's all I got.
Yeah, I didn't have much for it.
And then the only other song I had anything for was Fire Truck.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't have anything to like try again?
You take the lead.
Bro, it's hard to take notes when you're asleep, bro, alright? Have you ever tried it before, dude?
Oh, shit.
Okay, well, Dust Kids, Nick, I'm not going to talk about that much. I thought it was fine.
I would respond to your notes more
Yeah, okay.
So
Dust Kids was pretty good. It's about like
kids are creepy.
Andy reading a book about some kids who remembered their past lives and who reference people in the photos in the books and say like, hey, like yeah, this was me and my name was this and that's like Bob, and they like like historians or like other people will look into the photos and find out who those people were, and the kid would be right. And it was just like freak stories and coincidences of those things.
That shit always freaks me out.
Yeah, that made Andy write that song. And it's kind of just like them talking in a bar and like joking about it. It's nothing extraordinary. In a podcast, he said that after playing the album front to back at so many shows, that was the song that he wished he would have cut from the album. He said he said it was just harder to play than the rest of them, and he just didn't care about it that much anymore.
It's kind of a non sequitur. I feel like a little bit.
It's kind of like
both in a narrative stand. It's kind of like in a conversation.
Yeah.
How sometimes you just say some bullshit.
Yeah.
That doesn't overall matter with what you've been talking about all evening.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I skipped over Living Room, but we talked about that one a little bit earlier. How that one introduces the character Claire and how she talks about her kid, and how.
And I couldn't figure out the whole time is Charlie trying to get with Claire, or is that just happenstance?
I think they're kind of friends, and they're just kind of like flirty, like being like flirty friendly in the bar together and like hanging out when they walk down the street.
Yeah, kind of like us.
Yeah,
exactly. Like
like me and Jordan.
Like,
not you though.
Like the fact that I on my wedding.
Wait, no, not
Jordan.
no.
Oh. And did it? Was
and
it also
David.
you? And David, that's
Bro, literally that's one
We don't
time.
have
I've kissed
picture
Jordan
evidence
2
of
times. Okay.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. That's the only thing I've got for the mood board this week. So
What? Dude,
The
Nick,
multiple pictures we
Nick said
have
you
of us
can't
kissing.
expose him, dude.
Yeah.
Bro, David fucking replied to my tweet about the wedding with that shit. I was dying.
That was
I
wild.
was like, I don't remember
that
that.
was
happening.
out of pocket. But
That was out of pocket, but I allowed.
it was great. It was funny.
It was funny as fuck.
But yeah, the final 4-song run is my favorite part on the whole album.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, Fire Truck was the song that you chose for the playlist we made for the top 10 album.
And either Fire Truck or Changer, either one of those are my favorite song. I'm not sure which one.
I'm gonna say I think Try Again was probably one of my favorites on the album.
Oh yeah,
Really?
yeah.
That was
That's the third to last. Try Again is, but that's kind of like so in the Moon is right before Try Again, and it's probably the slowest. I think it's the saddest. Well, I don't know if it's the saddest. Either that one or Fire Truck are the saddest. But the Moon is like Charlie keeps making a joke about making their way to the moon. Like people are asking them where they're going, and he says making our way to the moon, and we're taking off soon. And it's just kind of like a thing to say to someone when you're drunk, to be like and then really they just walk around together and hang out. But towards the end of that song, that's when Judy actually comes into the picture in the Moon. That's when she comes into the bar and like and sees Charlie, and she doesn't want to look at the narrator. And then once they leave the bar, like Charlie invites her to like walk along with them, and Judy walks with him down the street. I said streak down the street, and
down the street.
and Charlie's walking with Claire. Judy's walking with the narrator, and he says like he didn't know where she was or where she'd be, and she says, "That's funny, because honestly, I knew exactly where you'd be."
But soon we're walking the street. Charlie's walking with Claire, and Judy's walking with me. I say I didn't expect to see you. She says, to be honest, I knew exactly where you'd be. And I say, making my way to the moon, and she laughs too soon.
Right. Which is a callback to earlier in, is it the first or second song, where he talks about, like, I remember Judy, she would say, like, haha, this is our disease, as in, like, you know, their vice is alcohol. And so she's clearly progressed, and then come back to say, like, I knew you'd be at the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, kind of like, ooh, that kind of fucking, that stings a little bit.
How'd you know I'd be here? Come on.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like what a fucking unnecessary clap.
We know.
Yeah, I didn't even really think about it like that. I just thought it was like her like poking fun at him, like it.
Well, I think it's the kind of thing where like maybe it's a little bit of joking and maybe it's a little like piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, because like he clearly had some shit he did in the past that would lead to a little bit of animosity. I feel like. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I got you. But yeah, and then you see that like it makes clear towards the end of the song that there's going to be no reunification of this relationship because he tries to reach for her hand and she says like, no, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's the gist of the song. It's kind of like it's almost the winding down of the night, but then it picks right back up again with Try Again. And Try Again is probably the most upbeat, like cheery, just clever, like just bouncy song on the album. That
probably
like at the beginning of every verse he says somewhere between drunkenness and blank. He like chooses a different I guess noun every time.
Right.
I was gonna say adjective, but he says somewhere between drunkenness and charity, drunkenness and sincerity, drunkenness and honesty.
The English language descriptive words are not my strong suit.
Yeah. But
I don't know what the fucking adverb is, bro.
Just add ly at the end of something. It's an adverb.
That can't be right. That can't be all that there is to it. The English language is fucked up and stupid.
Definitely is an adverb. Quote me on that.
Why do you know that?
It isn't an adverb.
Because it ends in ly, dude.
But that was a joke.
Yeah, that is not my area of. I wouldn't even say expertise. That's not my area of knowledge.
Of basic knowledge.
I know what a noun, a verb, and an adjective are.
Person, place, or thing.
Probably.
Probs.
But yeah, But Andy,
it is kind of a cool through thread that he writes with that at the start of each verse.
Yeah. And Andy said in that interview that I listened to that the interviewer asked him probably once or twice earlier in the interview whether or not Judy was based on a specific girl, and like he was never really that hesitant about it. He just said like, well, she's kind of a combination of all of my ex-girlfriends, you know, just how the narrator is like bits and pieces of me, Judy's bits and pieces of the romantic relationships I've had. And towards the end of the podcast, Andy had opened up a little more, and he like the narrator asked him again like if a certain situation in it was either in The Moon or Try Again was about a certain girlfriend, and Andy waited for a second and he was like, okay, so the thing is, The Moon and Try Again I really wrote about like one girl, and like and Try Again there's probably 2 or 3 examples of like her cracking jokes. It says like she uses a British accent, and like he like jokes, he like has a terrible British accent, and she says like, what is that? And he says, sorry, I'm from a different part of the country.
Somewhere between drunkenness and chivalry, I hold the door open and let her pass through. She says thanks to me in a British accent, and I try to answer her in the same voice. She laughs at me, says, what was that supposed to be? I say, I'm sorry, I'm from a different part of the country. She says, come on, baby, try again.
Later in the song, she like touches his coat and says, I've missed this. And he says, I know I've missed you too. And she says, I was actually talking about your coat. But yeah, and he said that he actually finished the album a bit after they had broken up, and thought that they were like becoming just kind of like normal with each other. And he said he sent it to her, and she was like, hey, I don't know if I can keep talking to you, like this is actually like really fucking me up. and he was like, oh, like I didn't mean for it to do that at all. Like I just wanted to show you what I had written. I didn't really intend for anything to specifically be about you. And he said that he thought that she thought that they might be getting back together, and he was like, that's not really what I was thinking. I just wanted to, like, I thought we were being friends, and I thought I was going to show you what I was working on. But it was just one of those miscommunication things of
Don't you hate when that
modern
happens?
romance. But anyways, but that song, he said, was about a specific girl and about her funny tendencies. And then I like the end of that song where he says, somewhere between drunkenness and honesty. And that's how he starts the verse, and towards the end of it he says, I make a silent toast to the things that I do and don't miss.
Somewhere between drunkenness and jealousy, I watch her talking to some old friend. What a reunion. He recognized her across the room. How many years could there be to catch up on? And somewhere between drunkenness and honesty, I make a silent toast to the things that I do and don't miss. Come on, baby, try again.
Like, that sounds like in Clove Cigarettes, where he says, it's one step forward and one step back, but it doesn't matter because I'm on track. Like, it's him recognizing the good and the bad, but also where he presently is. Like, it's him recognizing that there's good and bad that he misses and doesn't miss. That it's not all good. That it's not some dreamlike memory that he can just sink himself back into.
Right, because at least he's having these flashbacks of like, oh shit, no, this I definitely did not.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That
Like,
part. Yeah, I didn't want that back at all.
Like Fire Truck. Okay, so my last note for the whole album is, I thought the first verse, once again in Fire Truck, very good. We've all been there. Where it says, a fire truck goes screaming by, and it reminds me of that night when you said you were coming home, and I waited till 4 a.m.
A fire truck goes screaming by, and it reminds me of that night when you said that you were coming home, and then I waited up till 4 a.m.
As in, like, I okay, so I didn't get this, but until reading it a few times, I guess he has the memory of the night that their house burned down. I'm not sure, but and then I guess he says it out loud, and she says, "I remember." And why the fuck would this be a good time to bring it up?
She says, I remember, and why the fuck would this be a good time to bring that up? And I am silent because I'm not sure. Sometimes I feel like I should never speak again.
Like, you have this bad memory. Yeah, no shit. I remember it too. That's a core memory. But we've all been chilling. We've all been chilling all night. Why the fuck would this be a good time to bring up sad shit? And then then the narrator says, and I'm silent because I'm not sure. Sometimes it feels like I should never speak again. Like, we've all been there where you bring up something and you're like, oh yeah, I just thought of this. And then
you're like, oh Jesus.
You're hanging with, they're like, why the fuck would, this is not the time or place to say that. And it's like, my bad. I shouldn't talk. So I mean, so I just thought it was a very interesting glimpse into, I mean, this album is a very, like, this is real shit. I think it's a very good expose of like what can happen with relationships.
Yeah.
And so I think that's an excellent additive to that narrative.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was,
and that's the last specific thing I had.
Yeah, I don't know if it was their house burning down or if it was someone else's, because in the second verse
it's never clear, right?
In the second verse he says, I can see it in my mind, the flames reaching so high into the night, and that poor family standing on the front lawn watching.
And I can see it in my mind, those flames reaching so high into the night, and that poor family standing on the front lawn watching.
So it sounds like it's someone else, and he just sees the house burning down.
And then he says, and for some reason I remember that feeling being almost jealousy for a new beginning.
And for some reason, I remember that feeling, being almost jealousy for a new beginning. But I should have known that I was already burning it to the ground.
Oh, that makes those lines
Yeah, and it's like he's using
make a lot more sense.
He's using that situation to analogize, like to compare it to him wanting to start over, to want to have something new to build from the ground up, because his current situation is so like
Bro, have y'all ever witnessed a house fire?
I saw the beginning of one leaving your house one time when I was younger.
Oh, that's right. There was a pool party where everyone I think it was showing up because people were like, bro, it took me forever to get here because they had to like go to the back. Yeah, I've like watched a house burn down before. That shit is. Damn. I could not imagine. Now, I think it was abandoned, that or they weren't there, like nowhere while we were all spectating on the road, because it's a back road. So like we were standing in the middle of the road amidst all like every fire department in the county showed up for, and so we were all like standing there watching it. And based on conversation, I don't think the family, it was either abandoned or like the family wasn't there for whatever reason. Because I couldn't have taken that mentally. I could not have taken seeing like that level of distress, but I could not imagine the feeling of that. Like that shit is, to witness that alone. Like I didn't even see the family who it happened to on our road. But one night I got home from like swim practice or whatever, and I'm like, bro, it smells kind of like smoke. And then I saw like a bunch of lights, maybe a third mile down the road, and I walked down. I don't think any of my like family was there. I don't know where they were, but yeah, I was like, well, I guess I just walked down the road. Oh my god, I just hit my mic. Fuck, that is so bad for the listener. But yeah, I like walked down the road and I was just standing there and hearing the sound, like the roar of a house fire and then the timber cracking as like the roof caved in. I was like, I couldn't imagine if this was like the house that I spent the last 15 years.
Yeah, dude, that sucks.
Like that. I could not conceivably put myself in those shoes. I just sat there and I was like, fuck, like this is crazy. So I think it's, I don't know if the narrator, if this is a real memory for Andy, but I think that if you would have to be in such a bad point in life to witness such a life-altering event and think like even 2% to be like, I'm kind of jealous of like a clean start. Like you've got to be in such a horrible position.
Yeah, like you've got to be at like such an emotional low to see that and be like, oh, I almost wish I was there.
Like, yeah. You're one like you trip on your shoestring away from killing yourself. Like you're in such a low point to witness something like that and then think like 1% be like, man, I would kill for a fresh start. Like, it's way different than if you look into, like, a campfire and you go, man, fire's cleansing. It'd be great to have a fresh start. That's understandable. To like, witness just, like a house fire or something like that, I could not imagine being in such a, like, emotional state of the written narrative that's occurring in the song, if that is the case.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Emotional depth, bro.
No, I've said from the beginning.
I know what you said.
Songwriting is there.
Yeah. I'm just saying that for the listener. That's one reason I love it so much. The main
what I
reason.
like about this podcast? I think it makes me. I think talking about it makes it seem like. When I look back at my life, I think I've had a very vanilla existence. But I guess I've been through weird non sequitur things that kind of lend itself. Maybe that's why I like sad music. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know, because I can touch on what it's like to lose someone from taking their own life. I've gone through that. You know, I don't know the last time I thought about what it was like to witness a house burning down. Weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sums up my notes. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say.
Nick, do you have any final? I know that this is your album. Do you have any final thoughts before we throw out our numbers? Any final pleas?
Yeah, just about Changer. I think at the end of Fire Truck, whenever Judy leaves and he says, "Now that I'm standing in the ashes, I just want to be whole. Now that I'm standing in the ashes, I can't help but sing along." And then he goes into the chorus and says, "Do do do." I think that's kind of the moment of acceptance in the album when he's like ready to move on. The sing along moment is like, oh, I'll just like she leaves, and it's not like he follows her. It's not like he keeps thinking about her. He just keeps singing the last song in the bar because he's like he's accepting to live in his current situation rather than long for a different situation. And then the last song, Changer, is almost an epilogue to that feeling. Like the chorus is just change on, changer.
Change on, change on, change on, change on.
That's all he says in the chorus, and like he reminisces about meeting her for the first time, saying there was lightning in the sky, talking about like fucking up a joke, and like fumbling over it, and like all of her friends laughing at him. But for the most part, it's just him like accepting his position and saying you do you as well. That's the change on, changer part. Is saying like you be yourself and turn into who you want to be. And the last verse on the album, the second verse in Change on Changer, when he says, "Oh, I can see it now, me telling you how I found my way back home. Oh, I'm already bored." Like him being bored with the conversation with Judy.
I heard you back in town, working at the drugstore. Did you get the city blues? Oh, that I can relate to. Oh, I can see it now, me telling you how I found my way back home. Oh, I'm already bored.
That's him realizing that he doesn't want it. Is like, right. like as soon as he thinks a little deeper than the perfect scenario in his head, as soon as he like puts the slightest ounce of realism in it, he's like, oh yeah, this isn't as the good thing I think I remember.
Yeah, like he the narrator, they are given the chance that they've probably thought about for who knows how long to live out this rekindling, and then you live it out and the reality sets in of like, oh man,
oh yeah, this is just as shitty.
This is like, yeah, I needed this. This is a good reminder that this isn't what the reality was or could be. This is just how it is. Yeah. I thought, it's a good touch. I mean, it's what reality often doesn't live up to expectations, and that's because we're good at imagining things, right?
Yeah,
we're good
true.
at making the ideal situations, but very rarely do you live out a dream. Not even from a romantic perspective, but I mean, any aspirations, dreams, whatever. It's like how they talk about the richest people are the saddest. It's like, yeah, there's often what you have is your dreams, and that's what drives you. Once you reach it, it's not what it's going to be built up to in your mind.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
With exception, there is exception. My wedding, that was
Jamie being like,
literally
being married.
That was
not all it's cracked up to be. Let me tell you.
Okay, well, being married so far is very similar because, as far as the day-to-day living, I mean, nothing. We've lived together for years, 2 years, 3. So that's not going to change. But as far as the day of, it was that perfect day,
True.
But that's a rare exception. I mean, most of the time, you think of. There are a few exceptions to the rule, but if you dream and you really think about it, and you're like, oh man, when this event happens, It's going to be like this. I'm going to feel like this. It happens and you go, huh.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, I think that the Changer, or is it called Changer? Right, that's the last song.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But yeah, I think that those lines perfectly exemplify the fact that, you know, that's what life more often is. You know.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that was it for me.
Yeah. Jordan, you have any final thoughts before we rate and review it? Honestly, I'm surprised with how long this episode is. I did not think it was going to be this long.
Yeah.
Hey, but it was your 9th picked overall album. I mean, it's kind of like how you and I mutually kept the Sound and Color album till I think it's like 145 after I cut in the music.
That's insane.
Dog,
I'll Venmo.
We both had a lot to talk about.
I'll Venmo someone $1. I'll Venmo anyone $1 who actually listens to that whole episode.
Hey, look, that's one of those albums where I feel like if you like it, you're gonna like it enough.
Did you say that album's popular on TikTok, Jordan?
I said you're gonna pay people. It's gonna blow up somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And you're gonna have to
owe
people.
47,000. Hey, but before, if it starts to blow up, I'll enable ad reads, and then we get like 3 cents a listen. So I mean, if it blows up.
Easy money.
We're gonna make enough for you to pay them $1.
No, Nick is still in
You're
debt.
still in debt.
I'll still owe $30,000.
But our plays are gonna skyrocket, bro.
It's for the pod,
and then we can start talking. We can start talking to people. Be like, hey, look at our listener base.
Look at it.
I think that this might be. We might have to do this.
Yeah, I'm down.
Nick, I don't know if you're willing to sacrifice $30,000 in debt.
I'll take out a personal loan.
We're set then, dude. Your credit score's probably great.
Yeah, just
and my credit
I'll go to the
is actually really good.
Go to the bank and they'll say, "So, what is this loan for exactly?" And I'll say, "Internet clout." And,
and they'll say, "Fuck, you're approved."
You know what?
Damn, that's sick as hell.
10 years ago, would have said no. Now, hey.
Okay, so I still think Southeastern is our longest album episode by 4 minutes, but Sound and Color was an hour and 34 minutes.
Okay.
And 37 seconds.
Okay.
And Southeastern was an hour 38 and 20.
Gotcha. But yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll. I give my rating, then Jordan, then you, right, Jamie? Because you've got your album.
Oh no, week. Young Sick Camellia. By 2 minutes at an hour and 40 is our longest episode.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, we were...
That's because we had 4 people and we were all
spitting.
going in on it. Actually, I take that back. Blonde was our longest episode with an hour and 54.
Oh, damn.
There we go.
Well, we did take a 2-week hiatus. So it was a little pent up, you know. So that kind of disqualifies it.
Pod aggression. But, yeah, if you want me to send you musical clips to use this week, I'll go for it, Jamie. I know you weren't a fan. It was just
sure, yeah. If you want things you want specifically cut in, go for it.
Yeah, but
I was just gonna cut in what we talked about. But if you have like things in mind, go for it.
I got you.
I can do that.
But I'm gonna give it a 10. So
10, bro.
And you guys just say your ratings and don't even justify it. I don't really care at this point. You've spoke your piece. Like Jordan, like I know you're fine with it. Like I'm expecting like a 3 or a 2. That's fine.
It's gonna be a 3, bro. It's gonna be a 3 for me.
And Jamie, you've said, listen, the writing is great. It's phenomenal, but the music just isn't for me. About 5 times, so just pop off.
5.5.
Oh, I appreciate that. Actually, I thought
that's more than I thought it was gonna be.
It was gonna get a 5 because I saw the merit, but I would never cue this up. But the songwriting is really, really good. It gets that half point. So 5.5 is what we're gonna settle at. Would you believe it? The average rating is a 6.16, which puts the album at 56th tied with one other album that is titled Witness by Benjamin Booker.
Let's go.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go. Let's go.
Nestled comfortably between Is This It by The Strokes and Of the Blue Color of the Sky by OK Go.
Hell yes.
Oh.
I'd be picking these shit
That
albums.
is fucking hilarious.
That's
Out of
good.
70 albums, it is tied with one other album, and it is Witness by Benjamin
That's
Booker.
hilarious.
We're
Suffered
prophetic.
and I kind of had this thought because Jordan rated them both 3. You gave Witness a 9.5. I gave it a 6. You gave this a 10. I gave it a 5.5. So yeah, I thought that might be the case.
Did you do that on purpose, Jamie?
No, I didn't. I was dead ass.
You gave your rating, and immediately Jamie was like, "Calculator app. I need to give it a 5.5."
I just had a last minute change of heart where I was like, you know what? The writing deserves a little bit better than a 5. Like I said, if this was a 35-minute TV episode, great. If this was a poem I analyzed in AP Lit senior year of high school, fucking great. The fact that I had to listen to it brought it down quite a lot. I don't know. I don't know what that means for me, but you know, that's the fate it suffers.
I got you.
But so for my next album, I'm anticipating a higher score. We'll see.
We'll see.
Because we're in the time period where it's time to really start reflecting and think. Adele is finally releasing new music. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an album that, deadass, I might cry. The odds of me crying on the next podcast are the highest they'll have been since we did Circles by Mac Miller, where I almost cried. For reasons we'll get into it next week. But we're going to be doing 19 by Adele.
Let's go.
Which features a couple very life prominent tracks. So we'll see what happens once I start drinking a little bit next week for the podcast episode. But we are preparing for the drop on November 19th of 30, which we will, I am almost positive, review at some point. I've already been told by a few people they're excited for our episode on it, so we have to follow through with that. But yeah, so we're going to be doing Adele's first album, 19.
Nice.
For next week.
I'll try and dig up some emotional trauma before next week. Or maybe like create some or something. For it.
You just gotta
create it.
What you should do your homework for the next week is to create emotional trauma.
However you want.
No,
I'll figure it out.
But we'll get into it next week. I'm not crying from trauma. I'm crying from
gratitude,
life-altering beauty. You know, so
from the universe's mercy on your feeble little life. You know.
Yes. Yeah, and Adele was kind enough to throw that tennis ball into the court, and I served it
to make you feel her love. You know.
Oh.
We'll get into it. So my recent listenings: Adele, Peach Pit. They're not dropping a new album on Friday. They're dropping a new single. So to prepare for the new single, I've been listening to their entire catalog, obviously.
Of course.
All right.
I've listened to a lot of 22 A Million recently. It's kind of what happens for me every daylight savings where it becomes dark at 5 p.m. I just kind of listen to that album more. But I talked to my mom about this. It doesn't make me sad. Like, I honestly don't feel any effect from it other than my music taste changes. I've gone my whole life where even with like swimming in high school, I would go to practice at 3 p.m. in the winter and come out in darkness. Like it's been so long that has never affected me. Mm-hmm. I also, day and night doesn't affect what I do at home, like playing video games and going to the gym and shit like that.
Yeah.
Has no effect on day and night. So that doesn't bother me. But yeah, my music taste changes, which is weird. And Glass Animals. I don't know. I've just been listening to them a decent amount recently. Maybe because I've been listening to 22 A Million.
Yeah.
So that's kind of in the ish realm. I could see a doorway there being cracked open, so I don't know. Maybe that's what it is.
I got you.
I can see that.
I listened to all of Andy Shauf's back catalog this week. Listened to multiple podcasts where he was the guest. Did my research.
You did your homework.
I did. Had to come for my boy. I knew I had to protect him. What else? I accidentally renewed my subscription with Secretly Canadian, the record label, for their record club. And I got my last record for the past 3 months in the mail this week, and it's actually really good. I had no idea what it was, and I actually really enjoyed it. It's called Public Storage by Hannah Vu, and it's kind of like an indie. It's indie pop rock in a sense, but it's completely different from Andy Shauf. Some more indie rock like Beach Fossils, Wild Nothing. Got into some American Aquarium. Houndmouth came out with a new album. Pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
It's called, I think it's called Good For You. You have to check me on that. But,
Olivia Rodrigo had it.
Ooh.
Good for you. You look happy and healthy.
Bleachers came out with a cover of Drive by the Cars. Very good. Amine.
Oh, what song is that? What song is that?
Who's gonna drive you home?
Who's gonna drive you home?
But yeah.
Cars? Underrated. Well, not underrated because they're very popular, but they've got a few bangers that don't get...
Yeah. But Amine, his new mixtape album thing, 2.5, very good. And that's about it. Pop off, Jordan. Your turn.
Okay, so this week at work, I've been listening to a podcast.
Oh, yeah?
That is done by Complex, and they've done a Pop Smoke one. I haven't listened to their 6ix9ine one, but they had one that came out recently covering Florida rapper YNW Melly.
Ooh.
And basically everything that led up to his arrest, and then like where they're at now, which is not too much because it's been like at a stalemate or whatever.
Gotcha.
But they always do, like, the production is really, really good on those always, and they always do like a good job on them. So because of that, I've also found 2 new YNW Melly songs, and then also been listening to old songs that I like, and his voice is still just so good. And it's just kind of a crazy story as well. You know, you're just like, I actually wonder what's going to happen, because they were seeking the death penalty on him too. So it's like,
damn, I didn't know that.
Crazy. Yeah. I added a song called "See You Girl" by Steve Lacy because somebody I know was listening to it, and I thought, you know what, I'll try to enjoy this music too, not just rap, you know. Tiptoe Through the Tulips by Tiny Tim still. Just a Dream by Nelly still. Other than that, I've been just shuffling. Again, it's kind of I'm kind of at a lull with my music right now, to be honest.
Yeah.
So.
You might like Dark Red by Steve Lacy. I don't know, but that's probably his most famous song and one of my favorite songs by him.
I got you.
He made it on GarageBand. Ooh. He has a TED Talk about it, actually.
Riri. Huh.
Yeah. There's a part where he just plays his like falsetto vocals, like the stem of it, into the like microphone at the TED Talk, and someone in the audience is like, "Woo!" It's really funny.
That is kind of funny. But yeah, that's pretty much it. First podcast in a while. So
second podcast
since last week
that I've listened to.
Oh yeah, I got you. My bad.
Oopsies.
We're goofing.
We're goofing.
So we gotta make this a little more short format. We're popping off too much. We need Vic to moderate every podcast.
No, dog. This just means we have dedicated listeners.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Look, I've maintained, apart from David, most of this podcast is just us giving an excuse to talk about music and whatever.
True.
So I that's why I never try to cut anything short.
I got you.
If people listen, like we have full-time jobs. We don't make any money off of it. So
the podcasts I like the most feel like conversations. They're basically not structured at all.
If it's too structured, it's boring.
Yeah.
True.
I tried to nail that, and we just redid our intro episode. Thank fucking Christ, because I listened to it at work yesterday just to see how bad it is. It was dog shit. It was
so bad.
Like, if I was a new listener to any podcast, even if I loved the people who were on it, I would be like, this is not worth
Keep it though.
time.
Keep it just in case. Not like up, but keep it in your
I mean,
stash,
I have the raw file somewhere. I'm gonna make sure it's on my iPod.
Right.
Laptop. What the fuck?
iPad, bro.
I'm make
My
sure I have
iPod.
it saved on a hard drive. I have redundant copies of every single podcast we have.
Okay.
I have those files. But yeah, so if you're a weirdo and you want to listen to episode 0 after whenever I get to it, probably this weekend, it's not going to sound the same anymore. It's going to sound a whole lot better.
Nice. The intro video on YouTube.
But yeah, so we'll go ahead with that. We'll go ahead and wrap this one up. Oh, Vic and Leo just busted into my room.
Oh.
So yeah, so we'll wrap it up. We just wanted to say thanks again for listening this week, and remember to tune in next week where we're going to be taking a look at 19 by Adele in preparation for 30. That's on the horizon. Be sure to listen to it as much as you want so that you can have your own thoughts and mentally join in the discussion, quote unquote, with us while we talk about the album. If you want to, you can also join in the discussion in a physical sense by throwing a comment on this week's episode on YouTube or Instagram, or if you want, you can also tweet them at us. We're on Twitter at ListUpPodcast and Instagram at ListenUpPod. And those accounts, as well as all of our personal handles, are going to be in the description of wherever you found this episode. Make sure to give one or both of them a follow so that you can see any updates or announcements we make that pertain to the show, because that's where we send them out. Also, if you enjoyed this episode and you feel like we've earned it, if you wanted to throw a rating or review our way, that would be great. If not, no hard feelings. And also, if you want, feel free to check out the show merch at interestpointproductions.com. And then, other than that, for now, we'll catch you next week, and remember to listen up.